Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the hybrid community engagement session on federal compliance at City Hall and online. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Claudia Torrescano, and I am the Global City and Economic Growth Lead here at the City of Dallas. This is a hybrid session, and meaning that we have it virtual and available for our attendees and in person, for the ones that are here, and for our panelists as well. And before we begin, we also want to say this brief message in Spanish. Si usted habla español y necesita una interpretación en español, aquí está disponible un auricular para que usted, le pedimos que levante la mano, por favor, a las personas que están aquí presentes en el auditorio y con gusto se los podemos traer. Así que solamente alcen su mano. We also have Spanish language interpreters available for our online guests. So if you can please click on the link in the comment section for the Spanish translation or interpretation. También disponemos de intérpretes en español para nuestros invitados en línea, así que pueden hacer clic en el enlace de la sección de comentarios para poder obtener la interpretación en español. Así que lo único que tiene que hacer es hacer clic en el globo terráqueo en la esquina inferior izquierda. Bueno, y ahora en inglés, para las personas que están aquí, we would also like to say, for housekeeping, the restrooms are located in direction to the right. Mm-hmm. And so for the people that we have here locally or in the auditorium, we would like to say that you can come to the interpreter who is on the back of the auditorium. Les invitamos a todos aquellos que estén aquí presentes. Les recordamos que ustedes pueden ir con el intérprete que está en la parte detrás del auditorio para que ustedes puedan recoger sus auriculares y puedan tener o recibir la interpretación al idioma español. We also want to say, remember the restrooms are here to the right as you get off the door. And if Commission on Disabilities Chair is present, do we have the Commission not here? Then, well, I would like to now take the time to introduce our City of Dallas staff that are here today. So we have from the Office of the Arts and Culture, we have Ashley Guevara to our left. She is the Senior Public Information Officer. Welcome. We also have Juanita Ortiz. She's the Director of Office of Procurement. And we have Chan Williams. She is the Assistant Director of Budget and Management Services, Grants. And of course, Jessica Galshaw, she's the Deputy Director of Office of the Housing and Community Empowerment, along with Assistant Director Cristina da Silva. Additionally, we have other city staff who are supporting this event, so please raise your hand if you work here with the City of Dallas. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Thank you. And now we would like to share an update of the city's response to the recent federal executive orders and related compliance steps. And just as important, we'll collect your feedback on how the city can better support economic opportunity and public safety for all residents. We'll preview a new framework the city is considering to guide plans, programs, and future investments, and we want your input on it. So we will have a time where we will be able to answer 3 questions as a group. And however, if we don't get to your questions for those that are in person, we will have staff to stay behind for our let out session. And for those joining us virtually, you can also submit your question via a QR code so the staff can address it directly. And now I have the honor to introduce to some of you the City of Dallas Assistant City Manager Liz Cedillo Pereira, who will be providing a short overview of the federal directives and why they matter to Dallas. So please help me welcome our Assistant City Manager. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. And thank you, Claudia, for the introduction. And for all of our people here that are present here in our City Hall auditorium, as well as the folks that we have online. I saw a number of them chiming in when we were checking the mic, and we really appreciate that you are joining us via WebEx. And one of the purposes is so that people at home can have access to hearing about what we're doing here at the city, as well as it being recorded. Of course, it can be shared, and so we encourage all of you who are listening here present and who are in your own residences to share it outward, because this is our final community engagement before we take this matter back to our city council. We're scheduled to go back on December 3rd and brief them in full, all the things you're going to hear tonight. And so your feedback is incredibly important, because if you see that team over there, if you can see them, if you can flash the camera over that way with the computers, they are voraciously typing comments that we receive either online or through our social pinpoint. And so none of the input that we get goes unnoticed. And so I'm proud of our team for including all of that feedback, in as much as this work is very difficult to do after we have been dedicated to closing disparities, at least for the last 8.5 years together. And now we're being required by federal directive to realign some of that work. So it is a team effort, and I'm so incredibly grateful to the team that we have that just does not give up. I also want to acknowledge Sarah Cotton Nelson, who is here with us present. She has been serving as our consultant in this space, and we're grateful for her expertise as well. So let's go to the next slide. As we have stated before, we have these executive orders, these that are coming from the presidential administration. We're going to focus on two here tonight. One relates to Executive Order 14173, related to DEI, which mandates that city cannot operate programs that is deemed, the language from the executive order, promoting or advancing, quote, illegal DEI ideology in violation of federal anti-discrimination laws, end quote. So meaning that we cannot allocate our contracts or benefits based on suspect classifications, including race, ethnicity, sex, national origin, or religion. We should note that permissible classifications include veteran, disability, and socioeconomic status. Additionally, we've had a thriving business inclusion program for a number of years that you're going to hear about. And these orders also relate to consideration of those efforts. So we are needing to change our business inclusion policy because we are not able to use race, sex, national origin, or religion as scoring criteria or add points in proposal evaluations. You're going to hear more about that from our Director of Procurement, Juanita Ortiz. Next slide. So in a nutshell, the city has been at this work for several months now. We have been working on interdepartmentally self-assessments so that we can flag those policies and plans that have that are implicated in these orders, and we are doing that in tandem or in connection and collaboration with our city attorney's office and reviewed by our executive leadership. So folks like myself who serve as assistant city managers or chiefs, reviewing the work of our departments to make sure that we are all connected. We have been developing new frameworks that we want to get your input on, and they are called the Drivers of Opportunity Framework that you're going to hear about from our Chief Opportunity Officer, Jessica Galashaw, and our new Drive Procurement. And I already said that Juanita Ortiz is going to be reviewing that with us. As well, we have, of course, arts and culture here, our grants team represented, because this work goes across city departments. And so if you have specific questions related to any of our programs, whether it be arts, whether it be grants, whether it be eco-dev, we're here to economic development. We're here to take that input. On December 10th,
Our city council agenda will include an omnibus resolution and an omnibus ordinance, meaning all of the programs and plans and policies that have been adopted by the city council that must be realigned will be included in that omnibus package to ensure federal compliance across departments. And so if you want to get the details of each plan and program that is changing, then once all of that documentation is uploaded into our legislative system, Legistar, you can actually review it yourselves. Next slide. Real quick, a timeline. I've already said that we've been at this since January of this year, and our intention is to complete these remediation actions and get to where we go next, starting in January. So our hope and intention is that the city council will receive our work, give us feedback, and then adopt it fully on December 10th. That's why your stakeholder and community engagement feedback is so important to us. Next slide. Some high-level summaries. As I said, we have suspended all of our work as relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That includes our racial equity plan, our business inclusion development policy, and other policies throughout the city. And we're building new frameworks. We are building new frameworks as we speak, and we want that feedback from you to make sure that it aligns with our city's intentions to promote efforts that close disparities across communities so that everyone in our city has an opportunity to thrive. We have been engaged very intentionally around it, being transparent, holding ourselves accountable. These sessions have not always been easy because people have concerns and want to know what the city is doing after all of these efforts. And so we understand that. And that's why we're here tonight, so that you can tell us your concerns and we can work those into the work that we're rebuilding. I want to also stress that this work is being intentionally, carefully reviewed, not only by departments, but also by our city attorney's office with feedback from executive leadership. And then, of course, getting your feedback. So that's another high-level summary of changes that I wanted to emphasize before we go dive into specific changes that are occurring by departments. Next slide. With that, I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. Many of you know or may not know. If you know, raise your hand, that we have a racial equity plan at the City of Dallas. Thank you. Most everybody knows that the city passed and adopted a racial equity plan in August of 2022. It's citywide, meaning all of our departments participated, and its intention is to address racial and ethnic disparities that continue to persist throughout our city. And we identified short, mid, and long-term goals to address those efforts. So we had short-term goals, meaning every department had its own progress measures, as well as these bigger goals where we knew the city could not do it alone, that we needed private sector investment, we needed philanthropy, we needed other anchor institutions, and those are what we called our big audacious goals. You can still find the REP online, but what we're having to do, or have had to do, is temporarily cease it, starting in June of this year. And now we're transitioning to a new framework that can guide our city plans and programs by measuring and reporting and advancing opportunities for residents. You're going to hear more about that from Chief Galashaw. Next. Before that, though, we'll hear from Ashley Guevara of the Office of Arts and Culture. Please join me in welcoming Ashley Guevara.
Great, thank you. I'll be going over our updates. All right, so our Cultural Value Month 2025, can you hear me? Oh, a little bit louder? Okay, I needed to lean on a little closer. So I'll try my best not to read off the slide, but right now we're actually in the midst of this program where we have one-day events where recipients are matched with libraries and recreation centers all across the city, where there is going to be a arts programming event happening in every district across the city. So as it says, our contracting is completed and services have already begun. And so if you haven't already checked out our website, feel free to go and check out what's happening across the city this Cultural Value Month. For our COP program, cultural organizations, contracting is in progress. All of our awardees have been notified and for their recommended funding in October, and there is no delayed timeline as of right now. So this update hasn't changed since the last time we gave this presentation, so just a quick overview. Our Community Artist Program, or CAP, contracting has commenced and recipients have been notified with also no delayed timeline. With Arts Activate 2026, there's also been no change to these dates. For round one, award announcements went out on November 7th, 2025, and will support projects taking place from December 1st through September 15th, 2026. With round two, applications were open from September 10th, 25 to September 29th, 25, and award announcements will be taking place on December 5th. And this round will also support projects taking place from January 13th, 26 to September 15th, 2026. We did have to change the application timelines, but we didn't experience a change in the amount of recipients we usually have for this application round. For round three, there's no expected change to these dates as well, where we'll have applications open from February 2nd, 2026 through March 1st, 2026, and award announcements will happen on May 8th, and this round will support projects taking place from June 1st, 2026 through September 15th, 2026. All right, and then for any questions for any of those application timelines and funding programs, feel free to reach out to us. And if you also wanted to take more time to look at those dates, you can scan the QR code or visit the link at dal.city/artsupdate25. I also encourage you to sign up for our OAC newsletter at bit.ly/OAC newsletter. Thank you.
Welcome and thank you for taking the time to be here today. My name is Juanita Ortiz. I'm the director of the Office of Procurement Services. We really appreciate you taking the time to help us walk through how we're shifting our approach from inclusion to local business development. Next slide. The city is transitioning from the business inclusion and development policy that was adopted in 2020. And we're going towards a more modernized framework called DRIVE, which is Developing Regional and Inclusive Vendor Enterprises. DRIVE is designed to expand opportunities for small and local businesses across Dallas and in the region. The purpose of DRIVE is simple. It's to increase engagement, strengthen vendor capacity, and ensure that more small and local businesses are included and participate in our city contracting process. We're also launching a Dallas Collaborative capacity building collaborative, where we're working with our partner agencies in the region like DISD, DFW Airport, and DART to look at how we can align our services and provide technical assistance and outreach and workforce development for our vendors in this region. Next slide. These are the guiding principles that we used around and centered around building real capacity, not just certifying firms, but equipping small and local vendors with educational tools, mentorship, and opportunities for growth. We're leaning into the regional collaboration concept so that our vendors can navigate opportunities not only with the city of Dallas, but with those agencies in our area. So we're increasing alignment across the North Texas region. And at the core, DRIVE emphasizes transparency, accountability, and vendor empowerment. We're ensuring that firms can sustain long-term success while the city maintains clear oversight and reporting. Next slide. Under the DRIVE program, we are expanding access to our contract opportunities to procurements under $100,000 through the First Look initiative, and we will prioritize quotes from small, local, and veteran-owned businesses in that process. We're also looking to unbundle our larger contracts that we issue into more manageable scope so that small businesses can participate and don't have as many barriers included in those large procurements like bonding and insurance requirements. DRIVE shifts us towards a best value process. Instead of awarding directly to the lowest bidder, if we see that there's an increased opportunity and availability in our small business market, we can transition to a best value process. that ensures that we align and balance cost with quality, but also consider inclusion efforts. And finally, we're introducing an engagement score through our evaluation criteria where we'll actively measure the participation of our vendors and track the economic impact that they're having in this region. Next slide. This gives you a crosswalk from the BID policy, which was suspended in June of 2026, or 2025, and the new drive policy, which we anticipate council approval on December 10th. Our scope and eligibility is moving from a race gender program, which included minority and women-owned businesses and ownership, to a small business model where businesses who will qualify are those that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan statistical area and that meet the SBA size standards. We're also working with a consultant to do a market utilization study where we will look at having additional restrictions on size and revenue of the small businesses to ensure that we are not creating a saturated market for our program. Our participation goals will switch from category-based goals, which we still will maintain, but we will look at every contract specifically and create goals that are assigned to those specific scopes. This will make it more manageable for contractors to meet the goals and possibly exceed the goals. It'll be based on supplier availability in our region and the specific scopes that are included in that contract. Under this program, local preference will remain intact. That program is governed by state law, which did not change. So we will maintain the same requirements for local preference. And on certifications, we're expanding our recognition. So not just from our certification agencies, but also acknowledging certifications that are issued by the U.S. Small Business Administration, like the 8A program and the Texas Comptroller's Hub program. Next slide. Under the former BID policy, evaluation points were focused mainly on past utilization and team makeup. With Drive, we're going to expand the awarding of points to SBE utilization, local economic impact, and a new engagement score. Where we had 15 points that were assigned to the BID policy, we will have 20 for the Drive policy. And we'll look at things like incorporating new opportunities for small businesses, mentor protege programs or apprenticeships that our vendors are providing to our local residents, and then local economic impact. Capacity building is also growing with the addition of the First Look program, which I mentioned earlier, the DCBC initiative, and also formalizing our mentor protege program. And on compliance, we'll continue to issue utilization reports and audit our prime vendors to make sure that we are emphasizing and confirming actual performance on these contracts. And finally, while good faith efforts remain in place, the Drive introduces additional accountability measures when goals are repeatedly not met, ensuring stronger follow through and more meaningful participation. Next slide. This timeline shows how we've gotten to where we are today, from the current state assessment, stakeholder engagement. We had multiple meetings over a 2-month period with over 200 participants at all levels of our program. And we are anticipating council adoption in December with implementation in January. After that, we'll roll out a comprehensive communication and training plan to ensure that departments and vendors are fully prepared for this transition. And with that, I believe I'll turn it over to Shan to provide the HUD consolidated plan updates.
Thank you, Juanita, and good evening, everyone. I am Shan Williams in the Grants Division of Budget and Management Services. Okay, I'll start over. I am Shan Williams in the Grants Division of Budget and Management Services, and I will be sharing about the Consolidated Plan grant programs the city receives from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. So the HUD Consolidated Plan is a comprehensive strategic plan that identifies the community needs, it prioritizes those needs, and then provides details of how the city proposes to address those needs. The plan includes 4 grants that the city receives from HUD each year. The Community Development Block Grant Fund, referred to as CDBG, it is the largest and most flexible of these 4 grants, and this grant can be used to address many of the needs that have been identified in our community, including affordable housing, human and social services, and for our public improvement infrastructure type needs. The next grant is our Home Investment Partnership Program, which referred to as our HOME. This grant focuses on providing affordable housing. The Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, these funds are used to provide homeless services. And our 4th grant, which is the Housing Opportunity for Persons with AIDS, which is our HOPPER grant, provides programs and services to address the needs of our residents that have a medical diagnosis and are low income. Many of the uses of these HUD funds are based on data and information from the city's existing policies and plans. As the city's policies and plans are updated, realigned, these changes and updates must also be incorporated into our HUD consolidated plan. The consolidated plan for the 4 HUD grants were adopted by the City Council on August 6, 2025. On August 27, we started the HUD process that would allow us to make these changes to the consolidated plan. Following City Council approval of any new and or updated policies and plans, those changes will also be incorporated into our consolidated plan. And at this time, that change and that approval from City Council is scheduled to occur on December the 10th. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jessica Galasaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Shan.
As we moved through our federal compliance review, it became clear that we needed an overarching framework that helped guide the city on how we set our priorities, align our partnerships, and use data to measure impact. So starting in January 2025, the city manager Tolbert and her team began convening leadership from Dallas anchor institutions, universities, hospitals, business leaders, and philanthropic partners. The core question was, what are the big principles that we can agree on to advance opportunity for all Dallas residents, regardless of zip code or age? These conversations help to shape what we're putting forward as the drivers of opportunity framework and help to ensure that it reflects not just city government, but a broader ecosystem of partners who also care deeply about the issues that impact our Dallas residents, including housing, health, and aging. While the federal compliance review was going on, city staff was also researching options for this legally resilient and federally compliant framework. And it was around the same time that our community-wide survey tied to our budgeting efforts was published. This community-wide survey is a survey that's conducted annually, and we found that residents had shared areas that they wanted the cities to focus on. As you can see, top priorities to improve overall resident satisfaction included maintenance of infrastructure, police services, social services, traffic management, and housing. And so we looked at frameworks that could respond to these priorities. The Drivers of Poverty effort was initiated in 2017, and it really helped us to identify and understand the root causes and disparities in our community. But a key takeaway that we realized is that the model is strong on the problem identification, but less focused on a solutions pathway. And so that's why we propose the Drivers of Opportunity as a new path forward. Drivers of Opportunity builds on this work, and it helps us to evolve from the question, what holds communities back, to looking at what moves them forward. It clarifies the city's role as a convener and catalyst for sustained opportunity. It's data-driven and focused on strategies that support self-sufficiency, employment potential, and household wealth, and especially for residents with the greatest levels of need. In the next slide, you'll be able to see how we connected the identified root causes of poverty and potential opportunities that the City of Dallas could work towards with our community partners. And so on the left side, you see are the drivers of poverty. And on the right side, you have the drivers of opportunity that have been drafted that Dallas can aspire towards. And bringing this together, we have drafted a framework that is for the drivers of opportunity policy framework. Under the policies, or excuse me, under the priorities, we've identified 3 systems areas, outcomes, 5 driver areas, and 27 domains. The drivers include economic mobility, public safety and well-being, and community empowerment. And that one was added based on resident and stakeholder input. And then we have a city role matrix to answer a basic question, which is where do we lead and where do we support? We know that lead for us means setting policy, strategy, and investments. Collaborating means that we convene departments, community anchor institutions for shared decision-making and delivery. And support means that we promote and enable work of others through communication, data sharing, and alignment. And finally, the impact shows up in 3 ways: around aligned partnerships and engagement, through domain-focused community events and coalitions, through the Community Opportunity Index tool that we're working on and the dashboard, which is going to track progress and will establish baselines for each driver, and through results-focused investment, where we can connect our funding and resources to the priority-based budgeting efforts that our city is taking on. So this table gives a more detailed look at the drivers of opportunity framework, the drivers, the underlying domains, and the role the city can play. For housing and aging specifically, we can clearly lead on zoning, housing policy, and city-funded programs. We can collaborate with health systems, housing providers, and service agencies that support older adults. And we can support neighborhood-based efforts such as home repair, senior programs, and food access by aligning data, outreach, and funding. We want our residents and partners to be able to see where progress is happening and how city actions are tied to tangible improvements in our neighborhood. This slide talks about the Community Opportunity Assessment tool. I'll walk you through that briefly. This tool is our citywide asset mapping and performance platform. It does 3 main things. It will map assets and gaps by the drivers and domain. It will track baselines to target progress for each driver. And it will connect our data to the decisions we'll be making, particularly around capital projects, housing initiatives, and neighborhood services. Our data sources include national data sets like the Census, the Opportunity Atlas, and the Urban Institute's Upward Mobility Index, along with local sources such as departmental performance measures and departmental progress measure reporting, capital improvement programs, and departmental baselines. And all of the data is in the tool will be organized into the 5 drivers, which are gainful employment, high quality education, opportunity-rich neighborhoods, healthy environment and access to healthcare, and public safety and well-being. For aging and housing, for example, this means we can identify neighborhoods with concentrations of older adults, layered with housing conditions, access to transit, health services, parks, and safety indicators. We can use that information to guide our programming and investments. And so we want to take a few minutes now for all the folks that are engaged with us to complete a survey that's going to help us as we continue to finalize this tool and this drivers of opportunity framework. You can kind of see an example of what that looks like on your phone. And you should be able to access a link that will be provided or to scan this QR code. I think we'll have about 7 to 10 minutes for folks that are engaged in this call to provide that feedback. And then we'll come back for a question and answer session. If you are here in person and you need a copy of the survey to complete in person and on paper rather than using this tool, please let us know. Just raise your hand and we'll bring one to you.
Okay, so it's time to continue, and we want to thank our team for that informative presentation. And now we will start going live with the questions. We will start with a couple of questions, any that we have online. And of course, you know, all our speakers here today and representatives of the different City of Dallas departments, we can hear as well via the audio system in the auditorium, so we can listen to your questions. And we will go ahead and start, you know, begin submitting your questions, or go online and you can ask the question, and we are ready to respond. And again, we would like to, you know, for our community, that is Spanish-speaking language, we just want to remind you that, yes, you may ask the question in Spanish as well, and we can definitely translate that or interpret to our panelists. Queremos también recordarles a quienes nos están escuchando en línea o quienes están poniendo atención y participando esta tarde, les recordamos de que pueden hacer sus preguntas en español, y con todo gusto estamos aquí listos para poder interpretar esa pregunta para que los panelistas, los expertos o representantes de los departamentos de la ciudad de Dallas puedan responder a sus preguntas. Okay, and if for those that are participating online, if please don't be shy. Any questions that you may have, please. This is a great opportunity. We have all the representatives, the different department representatives, and our experts here that are ready to respond from the various, you know, City of Dallas, all the different departments, any information that you would like to ask. I think this is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of. So you may go ahead and just open up your audio and make it available, so then you can ask any questions that you may have. Les pedimos a quienes están participando esta tarde que hablan español y tengan cualquier pregunta para el Departamento de la Ciudad de Dallas. Estamos aquí listos y disponibles para que ustedes puedan hacer la pregunta y nosotros poder ayudarles a través de los diferentes expertos y representantes de los departamentos de la Ciudad de Dallas. Kevin.
If I could ask a question, what would be the next steps that the city will be taking in terms of, since that we have these federal mandates on where we go, for example, HUD, what would we be doing in the next steps to make improvements for
Bueno,
people to be able to use?
Y queremos hacer la pregunta, nada más traducirla a quienes están escuchando en línea. Se está preguntando que cuáles son los siguientes pasos que se van a llevar a cabo para poder continuar con estos cambios, que son precisamente el tema de lo que es los cambios que vienen sobre el cumplimiento federal con la ciudad de Dallas. Entonces se está preguntando que cuáles son esos pasos que se van a tomar después de que ya se haya tomado toda esta información por parte de los residentes y de la comunidad de la ciudad de Dallas.
So for our HUD grants, as it relates to our HUD grants, once the city council has adopted the new frameworks and policies, for us, those frameworks and policies inform how we told the federal government that we would direct our funding. So once they are approved, our next steps is the next budgeting opportunity. We have incorporated these changes into our plan that we told HUD how we were going to use our funds. So then that gives us the opportunity to direct our funds in the new direction with the new alignment. So those are the next steps.
Okay, and similarly for procurement, how will small businesses, when would they know how they can have a better chance of participating in different parts of procurement?
Well, we will be starting our training opportunity.
Oh, I think it's downline that
Oh, okay. We will be starting the training opportunities after the 10th when the policy is adopted, just to make sure there's no changes prior to that date. We'll have some online meetings, some in-person trainings, and then we're also working with our partners at the contractor associations and chambers to make sure that we set up some time to be available for questions from their membership.
Um, and I will also add, when talking about the consolidated plan as it's developed now actually has some references to the old Drivers of Poverty framework, which we talked about. But we're shifting again our focus to really look at the Drivers of Opportunity, which is a more of a solutions oriented framework. And with that, we would be able to use and align our investments, especially in our public services area, to align with the critical needs that are identified through that framework. But of course, we also have the areas of opportunity-rich neighborhoods, for example, where we can certainly look at our housing investments, our home improvement program investments, and others to ensure that we're targeting those communities at the highest need by going back to the Community Opportunity Index that's under development and utilizing that as a tool for informing our decision-making moving forward.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions? If you don't want to ask the question on the audio or open up your mic, feel free to type it. And if you feel shy about asking, don't worry about it. If you'd rather type your question via the chat, and if that's a better way for you to do it, go ahead. Feel free to do that. We will definitely take the question and more than happy to respond to it. Para aquellas personas que están escuchando en español, también si les da pena preguntar en audio, o sea que no quieren estar usando su voz para hacer la pregunta, lo pueden hacer con toda confianza, lo pueden escribir en el chat y también estamos listos para poderlo interpretar al inglés para que puedan escuchar los expertos y le puedan dar su respuesta. Yes. So, we also want to tell, everyone here that in the meantime, we want to let everyone know that the next steps, that are expected, for this survey, with all the information that we have collected tonight and with all the other community engagements and the prior forums or open town halls that have been held, there will be a briefing to the City Council on December the 3rd. So, and then after that, on December the 10th, we will bring the omnibus resolution to Council for approval and adoption. So we're going to be sharing the QR code at the end of the session, and you can type it into your web browser bar. And as was shown previously, dallasengage.com/community sessions. So then you can access our Drivers of Opportunity survey. And for those that are joining us virtually, in addition to submitting the survey responses, you will be able to submit the questions via dallasengage.com/community sessions or the QR code that was just shared or will be shared soon. And we will make sure that the necessary staff members will have that opportunity to review your questions and, that they are able to respond to them. So, there will be, we also would like to ask, for you to share that survey with other people that were not able to, or residents in Dallas that were not able to participate tonight, with your family, with your friends and neighbors that also care about Dallas, because we definitely want to capture their voice. I am sharing this survey already with my family and everybody that lives in the city of Dallas. So if you would like to do that, with your neighbors, next door neighbors, everybody in your block, please do so, because it is very important to receive the feedback. Okay, so it looks like we have an online question.
Okay, so we have a question from the chat. Can you specify what will be done with the results of this survey? I can take that one. This is Christina De Silva. I'm the Assistant Director for the Office of Housing and Community Empowerment. So as you saw, there were several questions on there that were multiple choice. And then there was also some spaces where we wanted to welcome any feedback in the way you wanted it was an open comment, right? So we've been taking the data from the survey, and if it's a multiple choice item, of course, it's pretty easy. It helps us with figuring out, the data from a very specific, right? There's only a specific number of choices. For the comments, though, we are reviewing each comment, and I say we, like our team, individuals, human beings, are reviewing the comments, and we're identifying any common themes. So if there are any comments that are basically saying, if there are two comments that are saying basically the same thing, we're sort of identifying that as a theme. And we're using those themes or those topics to help us refine the framework. So if you saw earlier in one of the slides, and maybe Selena, you can pull it up, the slide where it has the whole table, there's a couple of items that actually have asterisks next to them. And that shows where we've already identified some areas for refinement based off of the comments that we received. So for example, one of the things that we missed when we originally drafted this framework was healthy food access. We had a lot of comments about, that food access is important, so we added that as a domain. We've also had some conversations about supporting youth, and so that was an item that we also added. So essentially, that's how we're using the data to help refine not only how we add in terms of domains, but then also we're also looking towards our community opportunity assessment tool. How can we make sure that this is something that's going to be useful for not only city, but also our community partners to help with decision making?
Thank you, Christina. Yes. Okay, so I guess we will continue with our slides, on what to expect next. And as mentioned, as I mentioned previously, there will be a brief city council on December the 3rd, and the action will be to include an implementation plan and reporting or the cadence options. And city council adoption will take place on December the 10th. And the action is for city council approval of resolution to adopt drivers of opportunity framework on omnibus resolution. And then again, yes, and then the federal grant compliance timeline and summary, as you can see there, there's the different dates all the way, that time frame. We would like to just, you can always access that information as well. And you can see how the federal grant, the compliance timeline and summary, and everything that has been taking place. And now we are going to the following slide. And as mentioned, you can also take share the link on the screen so that you can take that survey, and you can sign up as well to receive updates. And you can go to dallasengage.com/community sessions. And again, please feel free to share that with your friends, your neighbors, and everyone. And please take the opportunity, if you live in the city of Dallas, if you haven't taken the survey, please take that opportunity to do that. And tomorrow, Friday, which is tomorrow, Friday at close of business, which is 5 o'clock, the survey will be closing. So you have an opportunity for, later this evening and tomorrow all day until a closing of business, so then you can fill out the survey. And now for the audience, and for those attendees that are here this evening, we thank you for coming, for joining us this, tonight. Thank you to our panelists and our participants, the different departments of the City of Dallas. Thank you for joining us and for sharing information and for your support. And we also want to thank all the participants that, were joining us this evening online. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, and of course, you can also continue on to, sending, any other questions or anything via chat, and, we will continue and follow up with those questions as well if you think of anything or if anybody else has any other questions that would like to submit. Thank you, and all have a great evening. Thank you for participating tonight.